The Chiefs did trade away Tyreek Hill, and I know you're still mad about it, and that's okay, Chiefs Kingdom, because it got this team a ton of draft picks. This is our first mock draft with all of the selections from that trade. We're going to get knee-deep into it and see what we can do to make the Kansas City Chiefs better in this NFL draft. Welcome to Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Chiefs, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day and for free on every platform, whether it's the audio ones where you can leave us an iTunes review or over on YouTube where you can like the channel, like the video, sub the channel, and hit the bell for notifications so you hear more. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, home of the Athletic Matrix. That's RGR. Actually, it's Rogue APC. There's too many things going on here where you can go get the Athletic Matrix. You can also watch on RGR, and I'll give you the explanation. Man, there's a lot going on for a Monday.
There's a ton going on for a Monday. I am Chris Clark, founder of Chiefs Corner. Go check it out. I've got a couple of things up, and I will have more information on the Marquez Valdez-Scantling signing once we get more information on that. We are still waiting on the specific numbers. A lot to talk about with this trade. It's really kind of came out of nowhere, it seemed.
Yeah, and we're going to walk through it here as we get started with this week's mock draft. It is Monday, and you can hear mocks all over the place. Thanks for making us your first listen. Check out the draft show for all your listening needs. And we're brought to you today by BetOnline, where they have you covered for all the props, odds, and everything that you need going into the Final Four now. Rock Chalk, just got to do that because I can. That said, a lot of picks. And so what we're doing today, we've already started the mock draft just to kind of get it pre-built because we're very interested in what the Chiefs can do with their first two picks now that they have 29 and 30. And so we pause it here. And we're going to take a look at all of the picks the Chiefs have as we discussed a trade with the Jets. So they have 29 and 30 in the first round. They did pick up 50 as well in the middle of the second. 62 was their original pick, 94, 103 their original picks, 103 being the comp from Ryan Poles. And then they picked up additional in second, fourth. So they have 121 and 135 and then 3 sevenths. Probably not going to get to those today. We're going to try to get through the top 6 top 100s. We're going to see what happens. And so this really comes down to need versus want for me. And so we're experimenting today about trading up into the top 10 at number 10. And it looks like we're going to be able to get that done. I'm feeling pretty confident about it. What are your criteria and what do you want to accomplish with this move if we get it done, Chris?
I really want to see who's on the board. It looks like Jameson Williams just went off the board. So the big question is who's still available. Because
Sauce,
Sauce
Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Devontae Wyatt, Trent McDuffie. Those are players that I think you can make a case for picking at 10.
I don't like Devontae Wyatt at 10. I understand that if you picked him at around 15, 16, I'd feel a lot better about that.
Sure.
Sauce, I mean, I like it, but I still think they're going to get a move done. I think that they're going to have a corner before they go into this draft. I think they're going to figure something out there. So still the question is Jermaine Johnson at edge for me?
I think he's the best edge available. And when you look what's happened, the top 3 have gone in Hutch, Thibodeau, and Walker.
Which is expected.
Right. Like if one of those guys was still left, I would say kudos, well done. That's a plus here. You could move. We could just stick where we are at 29. Karlaftis, I think, in reality, will be there in this mock machine. They have him 23rd. I don't think he's that high a player myself, but that's okay. And Boye Mafe would be there most likely at the end of the first. So it really comes down to, do you want to move up right now for Jermaine Johnson? That is the pick here that I think. Maybe Garrett Wilson, if you wanted to go wide out, I don't think that's worth a move up right here, given what the Chiefs have done in signing.
Not to 10.
Juju and MVS.
Yeah, not to 10. I don't think that that's needed. I think that they would probably stick. So I would continue to resume the draft, see if we can get to, see where they are at 14. See where the Ravens are.
14.
13 or 14. Texans or Ravens.
Okay, I think I got the Ravens done. Now, there's always the Philadelphia Eagles. I've already run through a couple of those scenarios. Jermaine Johnson just went to the Texans, so he's off the board now. Garrett Wilson, He is my wideout number one. Drake London is there as well. I think he's Daniel Jeremiah's number one wideout. So there's options there, but we've lost the edge.
Yep, until you get to Karlaftis. So I think you're sitting there in a situation. Do you want to go get a number one type wide receiver? Do you believe Garrett Wilson is that guy?
I believe he can be. I don't think he's ready to walk in and be a number one.
Well,
I don't think anybody is.
Right, and that's the thing. I don't think anybody has to be a walk-in number one. I think that's there isn't. Okay, so there isn't a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase in this draft class. And although I think you could make a case, a lot of people think Jameson Williams can be that guy. I don't think that he is probably going to be that guy, especially considering he's probably not going to play a lot of the first year.
True.
I still think that we let it roll and see where we get to at like pick 18.
At 18, so just before the Eagles, because I think the Eagles is the safest pick to think that you can make a trade. So I'm with you there. Let's roll it down to 18 with the Saints.
I just kind of wanted to see what Kansas City could get done and who would be available. So that's kind of what I wanted to look at with all the draft capital that they have now.
Okay. So Devontae Wyatt went at 14. Garrett Wilson went at 15. Penning, they're not going to have interest in. I don't think so. He would probably be a right tackle, but I don't think they want to spend this first pick on a right tackle, knowing that they have Lucas Niang there. So do we want to try to trade? Is there anybody worth trading here for, in your opinion, now that Wilson's gone?
The question is how much of a drop-off is there from Drake London and Trent McDuffie to their next guys?
It's pretty significant. Jahan Dotson, I think, is probably listed about where he belongs here. Chris Olave, I think I still have above Dotson. And so you could go there as well. I don't think those guys are trade-up candidates. There are some that believe Drake London is the number one wideout. I do not have him there on my board. So I would think you could roll the dice.
So the other thing that I really wanted to look at with this draft is, could you get any top 10 type of talent? And it didn't look like to me that that's really the way this fell.
Correct.
Would
that's
you
how
agree
I
with
read it as well.
Okay. So at this point, obviously they're not going to go QB. So I think you still roll the dice and maybe go to Green Bay.
Go to Green Bay at 22. Very interested to see. They had Linderbaum go to the Steelers. I think that's likely a quarterback pick.
Could be. Definitely.
But that's just me.
But Malik Willis just went at 18. So,
right. McDuffie's off the board now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I would think Kenny Pickett, being a Pittsburgh guy, might actually be somebody that they would be interested in, but maybe not.
Yeah, you never know. I will not pretend to understand the thinking of Mike Tomlin.
Fair enough.
So now we are sitting here. Drake London is the best wide receiver on the board, followed closely by Chris Olave and then Jahan Dotson on my board anyway. Treylon Burks is not a first-round pick in my scenario. Other people might disagree. David Ojabo is still there. So if you are, again, in the situation where you feel you can take the delay, then you're okay.
Yeah, so the big question is Karlaftis much better than what you feel Ojabo is? And I know Ojabo has that big injury where you're going to have to wait.
Right. I mean, that's really the difference. I don't have Karlaftis as a top 20 pick. I would have him right about where the Chiefs fall. This board has him ranked higher.
So you tell me, I'll defer to you on this one.
I don't like Karlaftis much. I don't see enough dynamicism for me. I don't see enough anything that is special. He's a solid strength first player. Like, that's fine, but I'm not going after him. I'm certainly not trading up to get him.
Well, I will tell you this. I am absolutely very hungry for Kansas City to pick at 29 and 30, but we are going to get to that in just a moment. Let me tell you about our friends over at Built Bar, though. If you have not tried Built Bar yet, I do not know what you're waiting for. You absolutely need to try these bars. Have you tried the Puffs yet? If you haven't, you're missing out. They are one of the best tasting Built Bars out there. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. That is 100% real chocolate. Even the Puffs. Go to Built.com and scroll down to see the macros chart. You'll be blown away. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, and low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has 240 calories and 30 grams of sugar and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they are all about taste. They make it delicious first. then they figure out how to make it healthy. And I can attest to that. All of the Built Bars I have ever tried are delicious. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. And Ryan is showing his collection of Built Bars.
Right? I love having those things around. Let's reset real quick. We tried in this move to do a pre-draft trade up to 10 with the Jets. It looks like we could have gotten that done. When we did, we took a look at the board, and there just wasn't anybody worth taking because the top 3 edges went off the board in the top 7 picks, and Jameson Williams, the supposed target that Chiefs really like, and the guy that has the speed to be an effective replacement for Tyreek Hill, he was gone at 8, in the top 8. I don't think that's a reality myself when it comes down to draft day, but that put us in this situation. So even though we had a trade that we could have gotten, so that proves that we could take 29 and 30 and get up into the top 10, at least according to this calculation. That's where we're at now. So we're sitting at 22. The draft is paused. I think we just need to let it roll and get what we get at 29 and 30.
That's where I am.
Okay. Booth goes off. London goes off. Karlaftis goes off. Kyer Elam goes off. Jahan Dotson goes off. Now, I'm not interested in trading back today. Are you?
Nope.
Okay, so we're going to decline all those. And we are on the board at 29. Devin Lloyd just went off, and Kyler Gordon just before him, who would have been the guys that I would say were right at the back end of the corner group to make it into the first round. So we are left with Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, Lewis Seen, Boye Mafe, David Ajabo, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, and Perrion Winfrey. What is your instinct telling you?
My instinct tells me it has to be edge. I think Boye Mafe is probably the pick at 29 or 30. I still think that they are probably not going to be looking at safety considering they signed somebody. I think that wide receiver is going to be something that they could be looking at, but I don't know that it's Treylon Burks. It could be Burks, but to me, I think Boye Mafe is probably the guy at 29.
Okay, so these are back to back. So what's the pair that you want?
I'll defer to you on 30. I'll defer to you on 30.
I don't have Mafe this high, but he's very close, so I can understand. I would probably take Mafe and Ajabo right now. As much as I like Chris Olave in this offense, it's starting to get to the point where if you're not the deep yak threat that I'm looking for, I might have to pass you by. But the other option I would say is Olave and either Boye or David Ajabo. So you want to take
both
double dip each?
Nope, double
dip. Okay.
Because right now, edge is their worst position.
And David Ajabo. So you have a right now solution and you have a next year solution. If both of those pan out, you have your 2 edges for the future. Texans would like us to move up to 37 for one of our 4th rounds. Are you interested in that?
No.
Treylon Burks is still on the board.
No.
We're 13 picks away from ours.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. We are rolling. They go Brisker. Now the Jets want the same deal. They want to move out of there. All that went off with the board was Brisker.
Yep, decline.
Okay.
I have a feeling we're going to get a couple of these.
Again. Falale. Petrie goes off. Cam Thomas, a guy that I have as a fringe first rounder. Cameron Thomas, the edge from San Diego State. We clearly don't need that anymore.
Okay, so what's this?
This is the Bears wanting us to move up 2 spots and swap a 4th for a 5th.
No.
I don't see any reason to, but let's look at the board real quick. If Perrion Winfrey or Matt Corral or Quay Walker go off the board, I'm going to be able to live with myself. So I think we're just fine.
Okay.
So we let that roll, and we get to the Chiefs pick at 50.
Dang it. Guy I wanted at 50.
You took the chance.
Yep.
and I will say this. 50 is where I'm targeting as a good spot for Christian Watson. And I know that I'm guessing that's the guy that you were targeting.
Yeah, and I think that if Kansas City feels like they actually want Christian Watson, I feel like they'll move up and they'll probably go get him maybe even as high as 40. It's just a question of whether or not they want him. I've seen a lot of people mocking him in the first round, and I just don't know. And it looks like it took Christian Harris.
Yeah, for some reason it took a pick for us, and bumped us. So I will say this: this pick would not be Christian Harris. For absolutely sure, it would not be Christian Harris. I will tell you this: that there are a couple of options that would include
Chad
Roger
Muma.
McCrary. Chad Muma, again, a little high for him. I think you can get him at 62, to tell you the truth.
No, right. I get it.
I think Mechie goes in the 50s somewhere, to tell you the truth. I probably would have leaned that direction.
How are you feeling
if
about
this hadn't jumped our gun and made the selection for us?
Is Pickens gone already? Wide receiver from Georgia?
Let's have a look. Yep. Oh, I know who the man is.
I was trying to make sure I
look
said
like
the
he
right
has
name.
been selected. Yeah. Yes, he was selected.
Where'd he go?
Because I picked before the Chiefs pick to the Saints.
Of course. Yeah, I could see those two guys as being wide receivers Kansas City could be interested in.
Pickens, certainly.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's interesting, and something that we are going to need to talk about on another show is it looks like Kansas City's really changing what they're looking for in wide receivers with the body type. I think that's interesting. Yeah. So we'll need to discuss that.
I do think that's interesting as well. Yeah. And so we've missed Treylon Burks, Christian Watson, and George Pickens went off the board just before we selected. So that was a roll of the dice that we took. I think that worked out the way it may actually work out in the real world. But, when you have guys that you want, go get them. We're trying to see how this board falls so that we have an understanding of how we'll feel in the real world, and how we feel on a daily basis can be affected by something that we need to tell you guys about. Our newest sponsor. They are incredible. And I just started taking Athletic Greens recently because I wanted an easier way to get healthy vitamins and minerals, over 75 of them in what is not like a chalky, like tablet type form. They are full of 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. They give you everything that you need. And that's something that I, especially at this point, like I need it for the gut health. I need it for the energy that it brings, the balance that it brings. And quite frankly, so that I don't have to spend my day ingesting, 7 servings of vegetables. You get what you're trying to get out of it, other than the roughage, out of what you're getting there. The price is less than a cup of coffee a day, and it goes a long way towards your overall health. I think it's worth it. I think you guys will enjoy it as well, because I certainly do. I don't know if you've gotten into it yet, Chris.
I have. I enjoyed it. It makes me feel a lot better.
It makes it easier to reclaim your health and your immune system as well. It gives you that immuno bump, gives you some gut health bump. It's a nice 1 scoop in cold water, and you are set to go for the day. And they're making it easy right now by giving away a free 1-year supply of the immunosupporting vitamin D supplement, along with 5 free travel packs, along with your first purchase. All you have to do is go visit athleticgreens.com/NFL network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NFL network. Take ownership of your health and do the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So we have missed out.
I'm taking Mechie. So let's just say we take Mechie at 50.
Yes. Let's say that we have taken Mechie, and we're going to let this roll down to 62 and see what comes with us now. We're going to decline any other offers because it certainly doesn't like it when we try to trade anybody, because it skipped us rather rudely, I'm going to say. Yep. Draft Network. And so we've addressed in that scenario the wide receiver spot. We've addressed the edge times 2. I'm happy with that. As we come back around at 62, now I think we're in a position where we can look secondary, we can look linebacker, we could even look right tackle if we're nervous about it. I myself am not. So I'm disappointed because it looks like Chad Muma went off the board, unless I'm incorrect.
No, you're blind. He's right there.
Oh, I am blind? Okay. Rock on.
5th one down.
Okay. So Chad Muma, easily, he and Travis Jones are the best 2 players on this board as it sits for me right now that can actually help the Chiefs.
So, okay. So here's the We've taken Chad Muma so many times. I'm going to say I'm going to say take Travis Jones, because I think interior defensive line is still a huge need for this team. They need somebody next to Chris Jones, and there's going to be question marks going into 2023 and 2024.
I'm with you. And so, assuming Chad Muma goes in the next round, we're talking about Troy Anderson, maybe Brian Asamoah as coverage type linebackers that we want to look for.
You're on the wrong one. Okay.
Travis Jones, welcome to Kansas City. So we've addressed the interior.
McBride, sorry.
No, we've addressed the interior defensive line. We have addressed. Do we want to go back up to 69 for a fourth?
Who's available?
That's a good question. Most of the guys that we just saw. We missed out on Muma, Carter, Kirby, Kendrick, Bell, and Howell. So it is Asamoah is still there.
Take Asamoah.
Mm-hmm. Leo Chanel is a downhill linebacker. He is not a coverage linebacker. Same thing with Channing Tindall. I like both of their games. They're athletic. They're two of the more athletic guys at linebacker in this roster, but they're not turn, run, cover type dudes.
I take Asamoah and run. Okay. I think Kansas City is going to make some moves. I don't expect them to have 12 picks.
Okay, so we are talking about going from 94 to 69 and throwing in a fourth round pick. Maybe we can get a fifth round back. Maybe not. Maybe we can do it for seventh. No, we cannot. Okay, so we're giving up one of our fourths. This should be a no-brainer. They suggested it, so the Jets do make that trade. And then we are able to take what we feel is one of the better coverage linebackers left in this draft. He and Troy Anderson would be the next choice. So Chiefs get that done, and we are now waiting to see what we have at 103 as the draft ticks down. We're seeing more and more trade offers that I'm not going to take right now. We're trying to make these selections, people. This system does not want to listen to me today, and that's okay. We're going to be all right.
There's no way Buffalo's going to try to trade with Kansas City. Just tell me.
No, I can't see that either. That's just kind of silly. That's all right. Nick Cross goes out the board. He's a safety that I like in Kansas City. Has a decent skill set. We want to move up to 10 for San Francisco for a seventh. I could see that. What do we have left? We have Drake Jackson, the edge. We have Ruckert and Otten and Likely, the tight ends. We have a couple of running backs that are of no account. Running back is not a position we're going to draft today, folks. Jojo Dominant was another strong safety / linebacker we could have looked at later in the draft. Cambret Taylor and Martin Emerson are the best corners on the board right now.
I'm going to say we should be looking at tight end.
I'm going to say you're crazy, but that's okay.
That's fine. Or Alec Pierce.
We have Mechie in the fold.
That's true.
This linebacker selection was a mistake that is actually Mechie. So we have at least addressed the offense in some way. I would say that the impact of those tight ends is probably not as much as either. I like Emerson better than Cambret Taylor Britt. But if you really want to add a weapon, I would say of all of them, I don't think. I don't know. I like Ruckert best of these three tight ends if you really want to go tight end.
The only reason I'm saying tight end is because I don't know that they've found a Kelsey-like replacement yet. And until they do, that's a problem.
Well, they ain't finding it here either because none of these guys are.
Yeah. So
these are more Blake Bell replacements with a little bit of upside.
All right. Well, then go CB and go with your guy, Martin Emerson. And I think that's going to be it for us today because we're running out of time.
We are.
All these picks.
So we execute this trade with the Niners to get back up to 93. Sounds familiar? Oh, wait. It's right about where we were picking before. So we'll go with Martin Emerson, build out that corner room. And so what we've ended up doing is we doubled up early in the first round. Boye Mafe, a guy that can play right now today, and David Ojabo, a guy who can play next season and has the upside to be even more athletic than Boye. So now you have two little bit lighter, definitely more on the raw side, edge rushers that you can plug in and learn and see that the future is there to try and mold. Then we come back, and despite what this says, this was a mistake in the computer. This is John Mechie, another crafty and fairly speedy, but more of a I don't want to call him a possession because I think that has a negative connotation, but a guy that is not a field stretcher. Yeah, I think he's a utility receiver, to tell you the truth, that has some decent speed. We'll come back with Travis Jones, the interior defensive lineman, who is basically, in my opinion, Devontae Wyatt light. He's like poor man's Devontae Wyatt, a round and a half later. That works just fine. Coverage linebacker in Brian Asamoah and Martin Emerson, I think a corner that can fit into this group. I think he's better. I like him better at man. He can play zone as well. What that looks like coming, I think we're going to have a discussion this week. But how do you feel about this haul?
But if he's your number 4 corner, which I think by the time that the draft rolls around, Kansas City's not going to have some of these picks, and they will have traded one away for a corner, or they will have signed a corner. So I think you'd feel pretty good about him being your number 4 for this season.
I can understand that, yeah. So how do you feel about this group here?
I feel pretty good. I think you look at the edge, and that is where they need people the most. So double dipping makes a lot of sense. This also allows you to go. Ajabo can be on the non-football injury list, and you can have Melvin Ingram come back for another year. I think that kind of works for you there. And then, Mechie gives you speed at wide receiver, so I think that's going to help. Although, like I said, I think we're going to need to talk tomorrow because I think Kansas City's maybe shifting as to how they're going to have their wide receivers going forward.
Yeah. I think there's a shift going on in a couple of ways that we're trying to decipher from the tea leaves. We will have reaction if somebody does get signed anytime soon, as well as what's already gone on over the weekend. Just to leave us with a note, we'll come back and talk a little bit more about this, but just thumbs up, thumbs down on Ronald Jones coming to Kansas City.
Yeah, it's a veteran back. I mean, you need another back. So Darrell Williams wasn't coming back. So I guess, Jones can be an okay player. He's played in the NFL, and he's played for a Super Bowl champion, so I think that helps as well. Okay. Austin Ryder's back as well. Blake Bell's back. Several different players. So,
folks, we're going to get into that tomorrow. We're going to go over what could be changing, especially in the outside edges of the offense and the defense. So hope that you enjoyed this one. It's definitely an interesting scenario. Let us know in the comments on YouTube and the iTunes reviews. Do you like double dipping in the first round? 2 edges, whether one's hurt or not. Let us know your opinion. We'd like to have the feedback. We appreciate you spending your time with us today. We'll talk.